The morning sky was still pale when I rounded the corner onto Elmwood Drive and spotted Karen Whitfield strutting down my driveway clutching a stack of crisp documents stamped with a county seal and bearing my name in bold type. Her floral blouse strained against her ample frame, and her beady eyes narrowed with vindictive triumph as she brandished the summons. Her teenage son again live-streaming the drama. I froze for a heartbeat. A court summons, lodged by the HOA and demanding eviction from my own home for egregious bylaw violations. Effective in 24 hours. My heart pounded as I scanned the paper's signature of Clerk of Willow Creek County Court. A case number, and language so legalistic it gave her actions a veneer of legitimacy. Neighbors peered from behind curtains, their faces blurred by fear and gossip, while Karen's son gloated, "Let's see you fight this in court." My chest tightened with dread. They'd weaponized the justice system to terrorize me. But I refused to cower. This was a battlefield of wits and courage. If Karen thought she could bully me off my property with forged papers, she'd meet her match. I stepped forward calmly and said, "Karen, is that a genuine court order?" Her triumphant smile widened as she thrust the papers closer. "You'll see the real," she declared, voice shrill. I recognized her tactic, fear through bureaucracy, so I did the only thing I could think of. I pocketed the papers and walked straight to the county courthouse, my son's live stream trailing behind. Court clerks gaped as I slammed the documents on the counter and said, "Are these valid?" The clerk's face paled as she flipped through them. File number matched. No judge's signature authenticated. The seal was a cheap rubber stamp that smudged under scrutiny. "These are fakes," she whispered. "Whoever did this committed fraud." I thanked her and texted Karen a single line. Fraudulent summons case closed. The first twist had landed. The truth shone through her forgery, exposing her lies. Angered by her clumsy deception, I returned home with the clerk's notarized statement declaring the documents invalid. I posted it to the neighborhood forum titled, "HOA Summons Exposed as Fraud." Comments exploded with outrage. Neighbors who had bowed their heads in fearful compliance now demanded action. But I knew legal proof alone might not shatter Karen's iron grip. I needed a higher authority to step in decisively. Recalling my uncle's old law school classmate, Judge Rebecca Lawson, an iron-willed jurist renowned for her intolerance of corruption, I drafted a formal complaint and hand-delivered it to her chambers. The surprise twist came when Judge Lawson recognized the pathology behind Karen's power plays. "She's weaponizing the court, not protecting community standards," the judge muttered. Within hours, Judge Lawson scheduled an evidentiary hearing, summoning Karen to appear in person. The day of the hearing arrived in a flurry of civic drama. The courtroom overflowed not with criminal cases, but with neighbors eager to witness the spectacle. I sat beside my attorney, watching as Karen marched down the aisle, papers clutched like talismans. Judge Lawson peered over her bench, voice cool as a winter lake. "Ms. Whitfield, do you swear these documents are authentic?" The room held its breath. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish's, no words forming. Judge Lawson leaned forward and asked a single, laser-focused question. "Did you authorize these court papers?" Under the weight of that question, Karen's defenses crumbled. Her attempts to claim delegated authority dissolved into frantic stammers. Judge Lawson pounded her gavel and ordered the bailiff to handcuff Karen for contempt and forgery. Gasps echoed as two deputies led her out in cuffs, her bloated form swallowed by the courtroom doors. It was the climactic confrontation. One question, one judge, one irreversible downfall. Shock waves rolled through Willow Creek as news of Karen's arrest spread. Neighbors clustered in driveways, watching live news feeds showing her being led away. The HOA board convened an emergency session to elect a new president and to institute formal oversight measures. All enforcement actions would require verifiable legal authorization, quarterly audits by independent counsel, and resident referendums for any major bylaw changes. Karen's downfall catalyzed sweeping reform, transforming our HOA into a model of accountability. My own role shifted from target to catalyst. Me complaint, and the judge's single question had broken the cycle of fear. That evening, I hosted a small gathering at my kitchen table, sharing coffee with neighbors who had once trembled at Karen's threats. We toasted to Judge Lawson's courage and to our community's resilience, reflecting on how one resolute question had unmasked a bully's lies. As the last lights glowed under dusk's first stars, I raised my cup and offered a final thought to those gathered and to readers everywhere. Is exposing deceit through legal authority always justified, or does it risk weaponizing the law against private conflicts? Share your thoughts on right and wrong below. Morning's light crept across the courthouse steps as Karen Whitfield's mugshot circulated on the county sheriff's blotter, an image so at odds with the once-feared HOA president's bravado that neighbors gawked in disbelief. Over coffee in the cafe across the street, I scrolled through headlines: HOA head arrested for forgery, judge's one question topples local tyrant, and a scathing editorial praising Judge Lawson's swift justice. I felt a bubbles of vindication mixed with solemn reflection. Karen's downfall was a watershed for Willow Creek, but now we faced the task of rebuilding trust and governance in her wake. Judge Lawson's court order appointed a caretaker board to manage HOA affairs until elections could be held under the new oversight rules. The caretaker comprised Judge Lawson's legal clerk, Ms. Patel, and myself, two unlikely guardians tasked with steering the community toward transparency. Our first mission was immediate. Review and purge every document bearing Karen's signature, repeal all enforcement actions taken since her last legitimate meeting, and restore any fines improperly collected. On my first day in the caretaker officia converted storage room in the community center, I sifted through towering binders of violation notices, meeting minutes, and arbitrary memos. Each scrap of paper bore the imprint of Karen's unchecked authority, each signature a reminder of the fear she inspired. With precision and care, we shredded these symbols of tyranny, replacing them with draft documents stamped under review, and collected resident feedback on bylaws ripe for reform. An unexpected twist emerged when we uncovered evidence that Karen had engaged a consultant to ghostwrite a series of letters to the editor defaming neighbors who resisted her. These fraudulent articles had sown distrust in the community pages for years. The caretaker board subpoenaed the consultant, Mr. Theodore Blakey, a mild-mannered columnist known for op-eds elsewhere in town. Summoned to testify at a special hearing, Blake confessed that Karen had paid him thousands to craft sensationalist pieces under multiple pseudonyms, vilifying anyone who questioned her. His confession, delivered under oath, fueled another wave of outrage. We repurposed his services to write a public apology series on behalf of the HOA, restoring reputations one column at a time. Karen's manipulative pen now produced restitution, illustrating that even profiteers of falsehood could be redirected toward honesty when confronted with accountability. Meanwhile, residents organized welcome-back events to reintegrate families harassed by Karen's defamation campaign. The first of these, held in the pavilion on the green, featured storytelling sessions where neighbors read aloud the ghostwritten letters, then juxtaposed them with actual testimonials from victims. Children enacted short plays about standing up to lies, while elders recited poems on the power of truth. Tears flowed freely, but so did laughter, as we transformed pain into collective catharsis. It was an emotional crucible, reminding us that community healing required both confrontation and empathy. In the weeks that followed, the caretaker board worked with Judge Lawson to draft a misconduct response protocol, a living document mandating immediate suspension of any officer accused of impropriety, an independent review panel, and restorative justice circles for mediating conflicts. We held public workshops on the protocol, role-playing scenarios to ensure comprehension and buy-in. Residents participating in these workshops expressed relief that future abuses would face rapid, transparent processes. Elections for the new HOA board were scheduled for early winter. Candidates emerged: Ms. Patel, the clerk turned caretaker; a young data analyst named Lucas who had developed the online voting platform; Aisha, a community organizer who led the defamation and reconciliation forums; and Greg, a retired firefighter who coordinated neighborhood safety drills. Their platforms emphasized accountability, communication, and community engagement. Campaigning involved debates under pop-up tents at the community garden, where neighbors quizzed candidates on safeguards against forgery, intimidation, and defamation. For the first time in memory, the HOA elections felt invigorating rather than foreboding. On election night, I joined Ms. Patel and other departing board members to oversee the transparent ballot count. As Lucas tallied the results, Residents gathered in respectful silence, the air thick with anticipation. When the final results were announced, Patel, Lucas, Aisha, and Greg forming the new board, applause erupted, mingled with tearful embraces. I passed the gavel to Ms. Patel, offering my congratulations and relief that governance had returned to capable, ethical hands. To celebrate this milestone, Judge Lawson agreed to host a public forum on civic leadership at the town hall, inviting students, retirees, and civic-minded residents. She reflected on the dynamics of power, warning that even small scales of authority can be twisted to oppressive ends, and urging vigilance and participation to guard freedom. Her speech galvanized a new spirit of ownership over governance. Neighbors left the hall energized, ready to build on the foundations of transparency laid during Karen's undoing. As winter's first snow blanketed the lawns, the community held a resolution rally, inviting residents to share their hopes for the new board. I spoke briefly, recounting our 5-stage journey. The shocking appearance of forged court papers, the uncovering of their falsehood, the dramatic courtroom confrontation, Karen's ignominious removal, and the subsequent restoration and reforms. I closed by reminding everyone, our rights are a collective inheritance, not a commodity. They require our vigilance, creativity, and compassion to preserve. May our story guide you and others toward a future where integrity reigns supreme. Cheers and the crackle of bonfire flames echoed in agreement. In the aftermath, Karen's legacy became a study in civic failings and recoveries. The local community college invited me to guest lecture in its governance course, illustrating real-world consequences of HOA overreach. Students debated the fine line between private association ordinances and public law, using our saga as a case study. The Law Review published a feature on the incident, with my article chronicling the judge's pivotal question that uncovered Karen's fraud. Our neighborhood's ordeal informed state legislative discussions on regulating HOA powers, prompting draft bills requiring external audits and anti-fraud safeguards. In spring's gentle breezes, Willow Creek estates looked almost bucolic, flower boxes blooming, trimmed hedges glistening, children chasing bubbles through sprinkler arcs. Yet, beneath that tranquil veneer lay a community fortified by experience, each street a testament to the delicate balance between order and freedom. The wooden board reading summons served now hung in the pavilion as a museum piece, its inscription transformed into a call to vigilance rather than intimidation. On the 5th anniversary of the forged summons, I tapped out a final reflection on entitled people read it. From counterfeit court papers to civic redemption, how one question and a judge's resolve saved our neighborhood. Was your empowerment too theatrical, or did drama serve justice? Share your verdict on right and wrong below. As I hit post, I watched cherry blossoms drift against a sunlit sky, confident that our story, strange, stirring, and ultimately uplifting, would endure as a guide for any community facing the shadow of entitlement.